What you got going on today there, Mr. Lombard?
What's happening? Actually, I'm very excited for today. Today, I'm going to be flying out to Pittsburgh for the National Truck Driving Championships going on this week, and we're going to find out who the best drivers in the country are. Maybe there can only be one grand championship, and what I'm stoked about is we at Truck Parking Club have been following. Um, some teams like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas. I was at the Texas State Championships in Waco a couple months back. So we've been following some of these teams, watching the state championships. Now we're going to go see what they like to call the best way to describe the National Truck Driving Championships. People like to refer to them as the Super Bowl of safety. So I'm gearing up. I'm flying out this afternoon to head up to Pittsburgh, and I'm stoked.
Oh, that is interesting. So, in my mind, I'm automatically thinking these are guys who don't even really drive over the road anymore. They're just superhero truck drivers. But I'm wrong, right? Are these your everyday truck drivers who are doing this?
Oh yeah, no, these guys are no joke. They drive every day at the Texas State Championship. I say a lot of them. Well, actually, a lot of them do have OTR experience because I will say a lot of the companies there, like at Texas, companies you got Old Dominion, FedEx, Walmart. Um, Trying to think, Southwestern Freight Lines. Who else was up in there? HEB, and some of those, Walmart's guys are regional or are OTR. But and then I've talked to a bunch of the drivers. They've spent time OTR, and then they've since been with a company like Old Dominion where they're more local or HEB. But I know that at national championships, like other companies like Prime, Prime is a big carrier out of Springfield, Missouri. Prime has some drivers who go. There are some OTR fleets who definitely send drivers. But no, these guys are no joke. In Texas, I met this guy. His name's Bobtail Joe. He's been driving for HEB for 51 years, been working at HEB for 53. And he's been doing this since the frickin' 70s. Yeah, these guys are, and as soon as these national championships are over, they get right back in the lab and they are studying again for next year because there's a written portion. There's a whole written test they got to take, a pre-trip, and then the driving course that they do. And yeah, it's no joke. You can't just fly through this.
Interesting. Gonna get some. How long are you gonna be there?
I'll be there through Friday, and I'll fly out Saturday morning.
I imagine there's gonna be a lot going on, but you gonna get some movement in, some working out in.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer because the events per day should be over around 4 in the afternoon, and yeah, it's not negotiable time as well. Especially getting up to Pittsburgh, I'll have it'll finally be a little bit less in humidity, a little bit
Yep.
dialed back on the heat. So I'm looking forward to hey, even if they were trying to get dinner or what have you, nah, I need to keep my mileage up because I'm trying to square, these next two races I've got in October. I might say, I'm probably still going to do the Austin Marathon next February. Baby will be a month old at that point, but my wife even said you should definitely do it. She'll be off work. My mom will be down here. So it's like where I might not PR Austin. I'm just doing it to keep the streak going, the old because I've done it 5 years in a row. But these next two races, I'm really looking to try to explode and have some good results. And I can't let any of the travel really freaking slog me down. Let that be an excuse to slog me down.
What races are coming up in October?
Well, Waco 70.3, and then
Yeah.
a marathon in Banja Luka, which is in the state of Republika Srpska in Bosnia.
Oh,
So
no
I'm
shit,
pretty
huh?
Yeah, so I'm gonna head back over there, and I'm super stoked for him. And I'm looking to fly. Like the weather, like Waco will be pretty hot, like in 2024, but I know that's why I train in the heat. But that October marathon's gonna have some pristine weather, so I'm looking to fly. I'm trying to crack 3:15 at the marathon, and I can't do that by taking a week off because I'm just out of town.
Yeah. Well, I'm finally I'm moving. I've run 0.74 miles the other day and 0.8 miles yesterday. Today I'm gonna just work on a little more strength, and really it's the I mean, my cardio sucks, but that's not what I'm concerned about right now anyway. It'll get back. I'm just trying to make sure that the impact doesn't screw anything up. So, and not like I'm even that concerned about the bone, but all the muscles around the neck and shoulders, and how like I'm still trying to get them to loosen up and allow me to move my neck so I can like drive and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get back without doing any other I'm out of breath from doing this shit. From doing um I'm just trying to get back to where I can start to get some more consistent. So as long as I don't feel like I'm hurting myself by the end of this week, I'll start adding a little more time on. And but I do have to put some goals on the calendar because that is how I operate. And coming off my last race being Ironman, it's kind of hard to say I need to put another big goal on the calendar, like as a comeback goal, because I'm like, I'm not doing another Ironman right now to come back. So I think I'm going to try to find a local race in October, a 5K or a 10K, so I have something to put in front of me. And then the Clearwater Marathon is the end of January. And one thought that I kept having during Ironman training is, man, I would love to see how I could run how fast my marathon would be right now. So I think that'll be the big goal. And then, then there's 2027 and see what I can get back into.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we were talking, I know Trey's been super busy, but I did get to see him at the TXTA annual conference, and I'm not sure if I talked about that last week. And he's been explicitly vocal about how he's really looking to lock back in, and because he has been busy. I think I mentioned I think I mentioned on here he does that barbershop quartet stuff. They
Yep.
won they won a championship. So it's not like he's not doing nothing, and what he's doing for his brain is great. I think we need to realize sometimes that is okay. Like I was even telling him when I saw him, I was like, yeah, I know you're busy, but and we were kind of talking about that's how he got in the AI talk last week, but he's got his health app dialed in with Claude, and he talks back and forth on what he needs to be doing. I mean, he's still getting in, like he'll talk about, oh yeah, I'll do this XYZ, getting a little bit of exercise, getting his steps in. But again, when it comes to focusing, like we got to realize the whole point of this, the whole point of Iron Minds is, I mean, the second half of the word minds. We're trying to do what's best for our brains, for our lives, and great video I was watching yesterday. And if anybody pays attention to guys like Dr. Joe Dispenza, this BPN athlete Luke Hopkins, big time, was talking yesterday about how we perceive our life, and about how basically the idea is through stress and anxiety, how we can like make ourselves physically ill, physically sick, because so if how you're perceiving your life, and the what's key here is it's your choice how you choose to perceive your life, and it's a choice you have to make every day, multiple times throughout the day. And how we choose to perceive our life sets up our mind for how we're going to actually feel, and what's going to be going on in our minds. And so if you're perceiving your life like the champion of an a cappella group, when you're perceiving your life as XYZ, and you've got certain goals, maybe they're not exactly physical, but it could be learning a language, it could be any other hobby. Like I'm talking a hobby adjacent from fitness. If it's one of those, when you are focused on that and that's how you're perceiving your life, you are going to feel better in whatever it is you're doing. And we have different seasons. Now that doesn't just detract. That doesn't mean you should, because you perceive your life as X, that means you should just go full bore and eat like garbage and not get up from laying down. But it is a good thing to hobbies in general, other activities outside of work, and maybe even adjacent to fitness are good.
Mind, body, and spirit. That's when I first got into Spartan, that's what Joe, the CEO of Spartan Race, talked about in his books all the time. Mind, body, and spirit. It was something that I literally took to heart. I'm not trying to be some like racing champion, which is good because I'm nowhere near it. But fitness and being, the mind of the body is a huge part of my happiness. I talked about this last week. It's sort of my fitness routine gives me the foundation for the rest of my day and other parts of my life. But and when I actually wasn't doing it, when I'm doing my warm-ups in the morning and stuff, that's when I like consume my content. I'll watch videos on YouTube or listen to whatever. Well, I wasn't doing that. And as a speechwriter and a writer, I don't read as often as I should, as I even would like to, because I always opt to write instead of read. So like really, I just thought kept thinking over and over how the past couple months, how it wasn't just my body that was suffering, but the mind as well. And so you have to chase those mental pursuits, things that stimulate us mentally, things that stimulate us spiritually, socially, emotionally, physically. The life is the sum of all parts, right?
Yeah, 100%. Man, I'll tell you, when it comes to Fod Nation, I'm really learning this as I've and I've been vocal about it, on Instagram and online about, my journey, becoming an Orthodox Christian. But these foundations are there, and they've been built for 2000, and they were established 2000 years ago. Everything you're talking about, especially even in the health and fitness range, when it comes to, we just talked about how we perceive our life and diet and fitness, but this is a faith that's entirely built around prayer and fasting. Those habits, those are that is such a big emphasis, because those are the emphases. They're heavily emphasized in the New Testament quite a bit. Prayer and fasting, and those two things will set up, if you're trying to follow those two things, kind of the way the church has designed them, that's a foundation that's being built. And so it's just another reminder that, man, these systems have existed. We just now have a more secular world that wants to pull you away from it. Because I'll tell you, and I've just been thinking about it because I know that preseason NFL started, and it's there's a lot of people there who may have been rolling good or what have you. This has been a good season for them. But now, again, this is this is a season of full-fledged distraction, where on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays, and Saturdays with college too, you're going to be pulled from equipping yourselves and building these foundations. I'm not saying don't watch sports. I've never said that completely. But again, if your Sunday is being cooked sitting down watching NFL Red Zone, and you are focused on that, where that has all of your main focus, but yet on Monday mornings, or you let that, or the results of what happens on Red Zone or to your team derails you from what happens the rest of the week, then I'd love for anybody to prove to me how that's a good life, or that's good for your life.
And I moved to Florida. Before I moved here, I was a Sunday, Pats were on Sunday. That's what we did in New England. And then I moved down here, and the beach volleyball crew that I got in with, they played on Sundays. Well, that was kind of the end of me watching football anymore. To be honest, I basically stopped calling myself a football fan, started calling myself a Pats fan. And right now, it would even be hard to actually say that I've been paying enough attention. And it's not that I don't like football. It's not that I don't enjoy watching it. I can wear out a couch like anybody's business, but I opted for something else. And I always find myself in that position where it's like, hey, I can continue to do this thing that keeps me sedentary and planted and doesn't really contribute anything else to my life or the world, or I can go find this other activity that I find myself to be fulfilling in other ways. I'm not just feeding that comfort wolf. I'm feeding the mind, body, and spirit. We got a comment from CDL Shorty here. Bam.
Our man.
We are off to a great day. You have a great day too.
Yeah, CDL Shorty. Oh, he was tuning in on LinkedIn. That's why I put it live on LinkedIn. For some reason, Twitter's giving me issues. But yeah, big shout out to CDL Shorty, by the way. To anybody listening, again, I did a phenomenal podcast with CDL Shorty not too long ago. He's a gentleman. You want to talk about excuses, you want to talk about changing your lifestyle, and he's open about this. I'm sure he doesn't mind speaking, but this is a guy, he had a heart transplant in his 20s. He's a driver, by the way. Heart transplant has come along. This guy has fought some battles in regards to losing weight, staying healthy, coming off the road. You know, he had an incident at a truck stop, a health related incident, and his life was saved by a complete stranger. One of the most powerful stories I've ever heard in my life of somebody that I know personally. Like, you know, I've, you know, read epic stories of veterans and, you know, OEF and OIF, but from somebody I know personally that I've met in real life, who I've got a lot of respect for. CDL Shorty's another guy. We got to bring him on to Iron Minds one of these
I
mornings.
was singing as you're saying it, man. I'm like, bring him up.
Yeah, if he's not driving, but he's another one of those testimonies similar to you, Nick, to where like once you hear it, you can't help but be like, man, I should probably get up and do something with my life.
You know what's funny? And I realized I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said this, and I said, once you tell your story, you're locked into it. And what I meant by that is that, you know, people a lot of times will be like, when they're going through something or when they're dealing with cancer, they're like, oh, I wish I was more like you. And I'm like, no, you don't, dude. I was a whiny little bitch when I was going through it. Like, I didn't get this way until I went through everything. um, and so well, now I lost my train of thought. That's been happening a lot lately. I said, oh, yeah. So when I started talking about my story with me as the hero of the story instead of the victim, now I'm locked into it. Now it's the way that I have to live. So, you know, yeah, I can feel sorry for myself about something. Sitting around with a broken neck for a couple of months definitely made me not feel all that great. But at the same time, like, I kept bringing myself out of it because I put myself out there as that guy, as the guy you just described. And so I have to live up to it. And it actually gives me something to aspire to. It doesn't allow me to spend too much time in the cesspool of my brain.
How you perceive your life, again, yeah, that includes the past. That includes the past life. You know, we live in a world now where we pay strangers to tell us how do we solve our problems. And, you know, there's always this big talk on Instagram. You know, people always talk about this idea of childhood trauma, which, again, I think that word trauma in a lot of ways, at least in the West and like for Americans, is gravely overused, as in, because trauma, like hearing hearing people yell at each other, because that's where we've come now. It's just like, oh, when you were 5 years old, if you heard like your parents arguing, that could be registered as trauma. And where that could be medically true, and maybe it does invoke some sort of fear, like there's kids right now whose entire apartment buildings were freaking droned in Ukraine. That's trauma. You know, I think we've kind of overused the word trauma. It's kind of watered down in a lot of areas here. But again, the only way to fix that type of childhood trauma, like coming from, like, depending on what your upbringing is, I'm not taking away from people who came from maybe abusive households, but how we deconstruct that trauma is exactly what you just said, is how you tell your story and how you view it and what that makes you and who you're becoming today based off of what you were yesterday, and how you talk about it is incredibly important.
I talked about this. I posted yesterday. This is a 10-year anniversary of my 4th cancer diagnosis. And
I saw that post, man. Fire me up.
I mean, that was honestly, before I became a speaker, I never talked about cancer. I still was a victim. I didn't like talk about it. I still don't like to talk about it, but it's no longer mine. I have a responsibility now. And the way that I beat it, the way that I beat everything I've ever gone through, is by helping others get through theirs, including, you know, my own childhood trauma. And I'm not helping somebody unpack what they went through when they were 8, but relating to certain things and how we function in today's world, and, you know, how we redefine our identity. I caught myself in the trap last week. I've been talking about this for 2 years, saying how we identify ourselves with our jobs and how it gets in our head, and then how we make stupid decisions based on that. And then Pedro and I were talking before the show about some professional things, and I realized last week, as I was, you know, looking at other revenue streams, that I once again hitched my identity to the title of what I do. In other words, I kept saying, I'm a speaker. And the more I talk to myself, it's one thing to talk yourself up and manifest a dream or a vision, but I was locking myself into something. I was locking myself into a title and once again hooking my identity, who I am, with how I actually try to make money. And those two things are not the same.
Well said. How about you, Pedro? Checking in. You're quiet over there in the corner.
Yeah, bro. I'm just listening, man. I don't have uh I don't know, the vernacular amazement or the amazing vernacular that you guys have when it comes to this motivational stuff. I don't run races or do any of that stuff. I'm just here for eye candy, bro. That's it.
Hey, I'm
No, I'm
representing
good, man.
back middle of the pack right here, brother. Don't confuse me with someone up front.
No, man. Hey, honestly, like I know we do this show for others too, to help in their journey. Like we've all been on a journey, but this is I think I'm still on the journey. We're all still on the journey, and just being here, listening to you guys, man. This is my 30 minutes a week where I get two of my best friends and myself and all to myself, and I just get to hear you two guys go at it and motivate me and talk about cool stuff. And so, yeah, man, I'm just here. It's just a fly on the wall, brother, but I'm moving. Things are going good. I will say I've slacked off on the movement, man. I keep doing these ups and downs, and I have no excuse other than like I've just been putting my time other places, just busy doing other things. And so, yeah, that's I guess that's kind of the, I won't say struggle, but hurdles that I'm facing right now. Challenge, I think, is a better word, is finding that consistency again. And it's not like I couldn't swap things around. I'm just in a position where I'm having to make a decision of where my time is better used, but still staying active, man. I mean, you guys know me. I'm outside all weekend long doing stuff, burning calories, as Lumbar says, lifting heavy things.
Dude, I know.
So
I'm like,
Stuff.
we text over the weekend. He's like, he gives me like a list of 17 things he already did. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, I just rolled out of bed and I'm making pancakes.
yeah, I remember that. Hey,
On
that's
the
true. Hey,
seventh day, I rested.
bro. Hey, I live the same way every day, and that is if you're not up before daylight, you have wasted the day. Even on the weekends, bro. I'm up 6:30. Man, that's me sleeping in. But I got things to do, man. So and I figure, hey, you know what they say, guys? Idle hands, right? Idle hands. And I'm just one of those folks that I grew up watching people be busy, and I don't know. That's how I like to keep myself. Be busy. Stay active, whether that be mentally or physically. Lumbar was talking about this. It's not the mind part. That's the second part of this, and I think that's maybe a good thing to talk about is for this show is the mind thing because we focus a lot on the mental stuff, man. And you know, I'm feeling great physically. I've lost 70 something, almost 80 pounds, getting around better. My blood pressure's low, all those things. I mean, Nick, same with you. You're on a great health journey, repairing from your neck. And Mike, you've come a long way, but we forget about the mind a lot, man. And I like to try to stay active mentally too. And for me, it's doing stuff with my hands, man. I like doing projects, building things. Some people it's books, some people it's models. Whatever makes your brain work, I think you should also implement that. And not just from your job. Nick, you were talking about that, how people make that their identity and they kind of circle their entire life around their job, man, including their physical and mental health. And you got to break away, man. Separate yourself from yourself sometimes, and be there, do things for your brain, keep your brain active because that's the most powerful, muscle in your body. That's the thing you need the most. Without that, having all the physical health and everything else doesn't matter. You have to be able to think correctly, act correctly, and keep your stuff together and feel to live a good, productive life and be happy. So that's it, bro. I'm just going through life, man. Nothing
I'm
spectacular
over
here
here
on the
dropping
Pedro
light at
front.
the end of all these episodes, man.
Yeah.
I love the wise words of Pedro because again, he's spot on. He's absolutely right. The mind stuff, you're right. Work does drain our brains. And dude, I'll read that in comment sections sometimes, or even it's been big on Twitter replies. A lot of people have been talking about. There was a lot of talk last week on Twitter about $20 burritos. I'm not sure if you guys caught that. Somebody was talking about burritos $20, and people are kind of deconstructing about how you should cook from home, do this, and you'll see in the replies, and people will be like, we work X number of hours, do this, we're expected to be XYZ, or we're expected to be present in all these other places. And it's like, again, that is how you're choosing to perceive in this current state where doing something for your brain, that is 10 minutes you can choose. So I get it. You work a 10, 11-hour day. Can you, in the time you're not working, take just 10 minutes, just 10 minutes for whatever, for prayer, just 10 minutes focused on that. We're not talking about hours spent doing XYZ. You may not have the luxury of 2-3 hours to build a new deck or to do all these other things, but those 10 minutes could be all the thing in the world that we need. Again, I always refer back to Michael Easter's The Comfort Crisis. We used to live in a world without heat or AC. We lived up until very recently, like 20th century, where no matter where you lived, you always had bugs crawling on you. And there's like an entire podcast about this. Like no matter what, no matter where you lived, log cabin, all that stuff, up until the 20th century, there's probably people who still live like this. It's just no matter what, you had bugs that just crawled on you while you slept. That's it. Like all the time. You had no way to avoid that. There was no pest control. And so when we look at our ancestors, yeah, you might work 10, 11, 12-hour days, 10 minutes. But I'll tell you what, that's the thing for our ancestors who also worked very hard and had to live with no AC and no heat and had bugs crawling over them. It was 10, 20 minutes they had doing XYZ that made it all worth it. It was whatever it could have been. It was like the smallest thing that gave them the reason to live, their purpose, and so much. And it's like finding that purpose and how we choose to perceive our lives is what's going to guide us.
Somewhere in the future, somebody's going to be having a conversation like this, and they're going to say, do you believe our ancestors used to write their own LinkedIn posts?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're already that's sooner than we think.
Yeah.
Do you believe that our ancestors used to make their own documents and PDFs? Well, now that I ruined the show, I thought you guys left a great place to wrap it up. But let me say this, because we were talking about some mental stuff before the show. We brought it back up here, and we even mentioned a little bit when I said that post. But the best way to get through what you're going through is to help someone else with theirs. So if you're in it today, reach out to somebody, be an ear, let somebody into traffic, buy somebody a cup of coffee, do something that has nothing to do with you. Help somebody with their situation. Your mind, body, and spirit will be infinitely better.
One act of service. I like
that.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, want to take us home?
Yes, sir. Hey, for those of you guys tuning in, especially CDL Shorty, I appreciate you guys. Well, once again, as iron sharpens iron, so one man may sharpen another. For you guys out there, find that tribe and community. Again, reach out to Nick Pager and myself. We're all about paying it forward in that way each and every single day. But with that, guys, we will see you back next week.